Hello, Ellie here with WhoCulture. Got a few more bits to talk about this week, and I like to talk to you, so let's get into it. Now, if you want to, if you go into the description, you can just click on the different timestamps and you can jump around to the different topics, depending on what you're interested in hearing about. I do feel like I do need to say, though, before we do get into anything, please don't get your hopes up. I'm not about to tell you that I know the release dates. I do not know the release dates, just like you do not know the release dates. I do feel like it's a bit of a joke at this point, is it not? Of course, I understand that generally speaking, air dates aren't announced this soon, but I also feel like it's the 60th, and speaking as someone whose literal job it is to ramp up the excitement and to review those upcoming episodes, it's incredibly difficult to plan content when you don't know when the end game is. You don't know when the end result is. Every Saturday in November is kept free, and it would just be nice if the BBC could let me know when the episodes are coming, so, you know, I could plan some things. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that they're right to keep us guessing, or do you think that they need to hurry up and tell us? What are the surprises? Okay, so moving on, the first thing I wanted to mention, we did mention this in a short that went up yesterday. Ncuti Gatwa's second series has begun shooting, and as we mentioned in that short, he's broken a record. He's set a record by being the first Doctor to be shooting his second series before the first one has even been released. We also did mention that he could, in theory, shoot his regeneration before his first episode even airs. And I will just point out now, because a lot of people jumped on that and thought that we were suggesting that he's only sticking around for 2 series. We don't know how long he's staying for. It was just a theory, just a, you know, what could be. We're not saying he's staying only for 2 series. We don't know. Quite honestly, it seems like he's going to stick around for much longer than that. But I will say that a commenter on that short also said this, which is very interesting. He's also the first Doctor to film his second season before a single episode of his predecessor has premiered. That is very true. The predecessor, David Tennant as the 14th Doctor, we still haven't seen any, so that's very strange to think that the next Doctor is onto his second series shooting. We haven't even seen the Doctor before him yet. It is crazy, isn't it? One thing that we did notice, which is maybe telling, maybe just complete and utter, we're reading into things too much, but they didn't say Series 15. They did not refer to the shooting of this as Series 15. They said Ncuti Gatwa's second series. I guess that then begs the question as to whether they just haven't worded it that way, or whether they're going to revert back to going Series 1, Series 2. I kind of hope they don't do that. I know that they did do that with the revival in 2005, and it kind of set a separation between classic and modern, but although there are a lot of fresh things happening here, to me, it's still the modern era. I will say though, it does make a very nice, refreshing change to see how on top of things they are. This does not happen very often. If you think of House of the Dragon, for example, by the time Series 1 of that show finished airing, they were still writing and planning Series 2, which meant they had to have at least 1 year gap year to be ready to then start filming the second series. We've not even seen David Tennant in the role yet, and Ncuti Gatwa was already onto his second series in the role. I mean, Russell T Davies did say that he didn't want any more gap years, and it seems that he is sticking to that point. He is being true to his word. They are so ahead of schedule and so on it. It's very refreshing to see, because we did get into a bit of a dry spell in previous years of Doctor Who, where we were just spent, I mean, there was a year, can't remember which one, quite recently, where we had 3 episodes in a year, and although we have had quite a significant wait between then and the 60th, it does seem that from the 60th onwards, we are not going to be having those long waits, and that makes me very happy. So while we're on the subject of the 15th Doctor, some new writers were announced. So we've got Kate Herron and Bryony Redman announced just yesterday, actually, as new writers for the 15th Doctor. Kate Herron was the director for the entirety of Season 1 of Loki, and also directed episodes of Season 1 of Sex Education. Now, some people got a bit confused because here they're being announced as a writing duo, not directors. So just to be clear, Kate Herron in Doctor Who is a writer, not a director. But at the same time, the fact that she has worked on Loki and Sex Education, which are two massively successful shows, it does feel like the show is in safe hands, regardless as to whether she's there as a writer or a director. Now, Bryony Redman, personally, I'm not so familiar with, but she has won an award for a short film that she worked on, and she also worked on the Welsh crime comedy Pont Brec. Is that like a Welsh Point Break? That's my reading of it. Could be very, very wrong. But in regards to Loki and Sex Education, now I did see the first season of Loki. I will be completely honest, by the time I got to Loki, I had kind of got a little bit fed up with the slew of Marvel television shows that we were being given, and I kind of lost interest a little bit by this point. But having said that, what does stick in my brain is how it looked, knowing that now that Kate Herron was responsible for a lot of the visual style of that as the director, I am very excited to see what she'll bring as a writer for Doctor Who, because I definitely remember, although lots of Loki doesn't stick in my mind, the visual style of it and the feel of it, I do remember thinking was very impressive. And likewise, Sex Education, I mean, if season 1 didn't work, then we wouldn't be on to season 4. And I also think that the look and feel of Sex Education as a whole has this really kind of, it's almost like this timeless vibe to it, which I find very interesting. I have seen a little bit of suggestion as well that obviously with Herron kind of spearheading Loki, that she's already being kind of put right at the front as a potential successor as showrunner should RTD decide to step down at any point. Now, let's not jump the gun. We haven't even seen anything he's done yet. Let's not push him out just yet. But it is interesting to think that people have so much faith in Kate Herron that she could potentially take over if needs be. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about literally only got announced today, so we are on it at the moment. So according to today's Mirror, the Celestial Toymaker will be getting a full animation reconstruction. Animated reconstruction? Let me just be very clear. This is not a fact. This is a rumour. It's from a tabloid. Take it with a massive pinch of salt. But it's still very interesting. It definitely does make sense though. Obviously we now know that the Celestial Toymaker is returning for the 60th, and there's only one Toymaker story in the BBC archives. So it would be nice to explore that a little bit further so that modern audience members, new viewers can get a kind of the lowdown on the Celestial Toymaker in a kind of revived and modern format. Potentially this could be one of those surprises that we're going to get in November that isn't the special episodes, but obviously Russell T Davies has teased that we're going to see other things. So potentially this could be one of those things, but as I said, this is not a solid fact, so don't quote us on that. And the final thing is, obviously there was a video released that was all about the regeneration from Jodie Whittaker into David Tennant. Now, although this hasn't necessarily been confirmed, Russell T Davies did tease that we were going to get a little sneak preview of the Unleashed show, which is the behind the scenes, Michael Sheen, behind the scenes show that we will be getting in the near future, which will be hosted by Stefan Powell. Again, no confirmation that this is from Unleashed, but it feels like this could be the kind of thing that we will be seeing in that show. But the thing that we really want to kind of hammer home in regards to this video is something that Russell T Davies said with regards to the 14th Doctor. So I'm going to read that quote. He is the 14th Doctor. He's not a trick doctor. He's not a pretend doctor. He's not a jape. He's not a plan by the trickster or something. He is genuinely the 14th Doctor. There's something subtler going on that does get revealed. The theories that have been flying around could very well be completely off the mark. People have suggested that maybe it is an illusion, that it's an alternate reality, that the whole element of the 60th isn't real. But Russell here is kind of suggesting that it's far simpler than that. So if it is a simpler explanation, then my thinking is that it's something similar to when we had an explanation given for the 12th Doctor having a familiar face, such as, you know, this face has re-emerged to remind him of something, such as Donna has deliberately done something to cause this face to appear to do with some sort of game. But it is nice to know that we will be given a clear explanation as to why David Tennant's face, or Ten's face, has reappeared, because we weren't certain that we were going to get that. And as much as it would be very strange for them not to give some explanation, it feels like, from what Russell is saying here, that it's a very important element to the stories, as opposed to we're doing this and you'll just have to get over it and accept it. It feels very much like this is integral to the plot of the 60th in some form. November is not far away at all. We are so close, and this is why, again, we made the little comment about the release dates, because we're getting so close, and yet we feel like we know so much and know so little, and that feels like the obvious next thing that will be revealed. So I guess stay tuned, because as soon as we know, you will know, and let's just cross our fingers that that announcement will be coming relatively soon. For our sanity, for global excitement, and also so that all the debates about whether it's these certain 3 weeks or these certain 3 weeks can all be put to bed, because we were also certain that we'd figured it out, and then a load of other dates got thrown into the works, and now no one knows, no one is certain. It makes me feel uneasy. What I will say though is, before November approaches, we obviously have spooky season, and whether it's something that you participate in or don't, I would suggest that you go and check out our latest video, which is very spooky themed, the 10 darkest moments in Doctor Who. In the meantime, I've been Ellie with WhoCulture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.